How many tankers is our Coast Guard tracking that are loose, and are any of them out of the Caribbean that you're tracking worldwide?
I can't speak to the specifics of the operation, although we are watching the entire shadow fleet and how they're moving. I'm very proud of our Coast Guard, how they've partnered with the Department of War to do unprecedented actions in bringing these flags under jurisdiction these ships under jurisdiction that in many instances aren't flagged or they're affiliated with a country moving this unauthorized oil to avoid our sanction policy. What's that?
When like the video that was posted this morning, do you watch any of those operations?
Absolutely,
Did
I
you
do.
share them with
Absolutely,
the president today?
Yes, absolutely, we do. We haven't slept a lot lately between the Coast Guard operations, what they're doing in partnership with the Department of War in dealing with the shadow fleet, what we're also doing as far as operations with law enforcement across the country. The Department of Homeland Security is very busy.
U.S. forces have carried out another high-risk seizure in the Caribbean, capturing a sanctioned oil tanker the Trump administration says is tied to Venezuela's shadow oil trade. The vessel, motor tanker Veronica, was intercepted at sea after it passed through Venezuelan waters and continued operating in defiance of President Donald Trump's quarantine on sanctioned ships in the region. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem confirmed the operation, saying the tanker was openly violating U.S. restrictions designed to cut off Venezuela's oil exports. The seizure unfolded with a show of force. Marines and sailors launched from the aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. while a U.S. Coast Guard tactical team boarded the vessel and took control. Video released by U.S. officials shows helicopters hovering over the ship's deck as armed troops fast-roped down, securing the tanker in a coordinated maritime raid. The Veronica is now the sixth oil tanker seized by U.S. forces as part of the Trump administration's campaign to control the production, refining, and global distribution of Venezuelan oil. It is the fourth seizure since the surprise U.S. operation that ousted Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro less than 2 weeks ago. Secretary Noem said the raid was conducted with close coordination between the military, the State Department, and the Justice Department, calling it a flawless operation carried out in accordance with international law. The latest seizure sends a clear message from Washington. Sanctioned oil shipments will not move freely through the Caribbean, and vessels linked to Venezuela's oil trade are now being actively targeted at sea.
The United States has struck again at sea. Another oil tanker has been seized in the Caribbean, this time the Olena, in a bold pre-dawn operation that underscores Washington's tightening grip on Venezuela's oil lifeline. According to U.S. officials cited by Reuters, the tanker was intercepted near Trinidad on Friday by the U.S. Coast Guard and Joint Task Force Southern Spear after sailing under a false flag. The vessel had been masquerading as registered in Timor-Leste, a move U.S. authorities say was designed to evade detection. Marines and sailors launched from the USS Gerald R. surrounding and boarding the tanker without incident. U.S. Southern Command declared the message unmistakable: there is no safe haven for criminals. Maritime risk analysts say the Olena's tracking system had gone dark more than 50 days ago inside Venezuelan waters, classic behavior of what Washington calls the ghost fleet. The tanker reportedly left Venezuela last week fully loaded with oil, part of a flotilla that departed shortly after the dramatic capture of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. The Olena was not new to U.S. radar. It previously sailed under the name Minerva M, a vessel sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury last year for transporting Venezuelan oil in defiance of sanctions. This seizure marks America's fifth tanker interception as the Trump administration enforces a maritime blockade aimed at strangling the regime's energy revenues. U.S. officials say the goal is pressure, not war, using control of oil, money, and shipping lanes as leverage. The move comes just hours after Washington released Russian crew members from another seized tanker, signaling that this is not a random campaign, but a calculated one. Vice President J.D. Vance summed it up bluntly: control the oil, control the regime. President Trump now says Venezuela has agreed to ship tens of millions of barrels of oil to the U.S. and cooperate on rebuilding its energy sector, conditions that led him to halt plans for further military action. At sea, the message is clear: America is enforcing the rules, tanker by tanker.